Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Beyond the Backboard Podcast, episode 54. My name is Omar. Next to me is Earl, below me is Max. And, hello, everyone. Hi.
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 Like the SpongeBob meme where he's like, "Hey, hi, how are you?"
Hi, how are you? That's our new. I don't know if it's over here, if I'm pointing that way, and I mean it's that way, but as you guys
it's the other way. It's by Earl.
Okay, but regardless, by Earl in Earl's corner, we got our new logo. We have our original logo kind of built into it already. It's kind of the O and beyond, or like it's in between the N and the D and beyond there, which looks pretty well, but.
This is so tricky trying to do this backwards.
But don't think that we forgot about our original logo.
There it is, up there.
And just know that it is always in our hearts. It will always be there, and will be in constant memory for as long as we use this logo for. So enjoy the new logo. We appreciate you. And by the way, thank you for letting us hit 55 subscribers. We hit a little bit of a plateau, like a month ago, and we were like sitting at 35 for like a month. And then we got like 20. So thanks for everybody for subscribing. Appreciate it. And subscribe more, please. We love to see more people interact in the comments. We'll interact with you guys. We love seeing new comments and everything like that. So be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. And you don't want to see Earl hiding in your bushes.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure? Someone probably does.
I don't
The
know.
Homer Simpson meme, where he protrudes in the bush and then goes, but that's gonna be Earl.
I would say Omar, but you probably wouldn't know. My bad.
That's crazy.
Beyond the backboard next time, below the bushes.
Below the bushes, exactly.
That's our nature That's our nature podcast, below the bushes.
We talk about everything gardening.
Yo, gardening episode.
Gardening pod. I'm
terrible at gardening.
I think I would just respectfully pass off rip. That's a respectful pass for me.
You're not a gardener, Earl?
Not at all. Not even. No.
Yeah, are you a gardener?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
Not really. But I have been intrigued.
Okay, so you're gonna have to carry us. I don't know what the latest news on tomato season is. So that's all.
Yeah, no, nothing new actually. So you're fine. Right.
Well, what's the latest news in the NBA season? Who's been making the signings?
So there's been a lot of rumblings in the NBA. I mean, like the NBA got shaken up a little bit this offseason. Paul George is going to the Clippers. Mikal Bridges was acquired by the.
You mean the Sixers?
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, I got it mixed up because I meant to say. The Clippers lost a big piece in their puzzle, and I'm really concerned for their future. I'm really concerned for what they're going to do with like James Harden and Kawhi. We'll get into that later on. But I wanted to talk about a little bit more prevalent news. There's been a couple of new signings with the New York Knicks. We got Landry Shamet and Marcus Morris on a Exhibit 9 deal, which is essentially a training camp deal. And they're both going to be fighting for that last roster spot. And I know it's not full of talent, but to be completely honest, y'all, they're there to provide vibes to the locker room. They're not there to be big pieces. They're just there to be there for the vibes. So even if it's Landry Shamet or even if it's Marcus Morris, I feel like those guys would bring like immaculate energy to that locker room. Marcus Morris only being like a part of that New York Knicks squad where we are on the come up with Julius Randle and everything and a rookie RJ Barrett. So all due respect for him, obviously. And then Landry Shamet, he's been a friend of Mikal Bridges in the Phoenix. So and by the way, we have like how many players from that year with Phoenix? Mikal,
I think the Knicks have 4 Phoenix players, so it's the Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix works. The Phoenix.
Devin Booker confirmed New York Knicks.
Maybe. I'd ship Randall off for Devin Booker. No heartbeat. You wouldn't even have to. You couldn't even get the word out your mouth. He'd be gone. But
okay, I want to ask you this actually. I came across a trade deal earlier that actually really caught my eye because there's been a lot of There's been a lot of Randall trade rumors. I hate seeing Randall trade rumors because I know it's never going to come into fruition. The Knicks are not going to trade Julius Randle. They've made that abundantly clear.
Don't be so sure. I really think that
many times they've made it abundantly
clear. Headline, it might. They genuinely might.
Max, have you ever watched Bagley's Mailbag?
Sometimes, once in a while.
He brings it up almost all the time. The Knicks have no plans to trade Julius Randle at all.
We also didn't have plans to trade RJ Barrett, and that went out the window pretty fast.
I mean, shit, they kind of had to. Let's be honest. We didn't have defense. Our defense was completely gone.
Well, if we need some more defense, don't be surprised if Randle's the first to go.
I listen, and I love OG Anunoby, but I'm still on that boat to why didn't we send RJ Barrett and Quentin Grimes to Cleveland for Donovan Mitchell? Like, I'm still on that boat. Like,
money?
No, money wasn't the issue. It's Cleveland.
I'm saying money too, because he probably will. I'm assuming he will want an extension as well. Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, I meant the Jazz. Sorry, I don't know why I said Cleveland, but no, the money worked. That wasn't the issue. It was.
I was talking about like Donovan Mitchell. Like, say you trade for Donovan Mitchell. Like, it's more of a what happens tomorrow problem rather than a immediately trade success now, because you got to think about extensions. Still had to sign OG Anunoby. Still had to get the Jalen Brunson deal done. And on top of that,
we had the Jalen Brunson deal done.
Okay, well, you still had to pay OG for the future, and then you have to work in what's it called, Donovan Mitchell contract.
We're living in a reality
supposedly
now,
on like a 4+ year deal.
But like we don't. But like in this reality, we don't have OG Anunoby because we traded RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, you're saying that then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But back to the point. The point is, this was all just for me to say, don't be surprised if Randle is on the trade. It does get traded.
Yeah, and what I wanted to say was there's an actually interesting trade because a lot of these trades are like throwaway trades where it's like PJ Washington and another player and like 2 picks from Dallas. And like I saw that deal a couple of times. And then I saw a really good deal where the money worked and we wouldn't have to throw that much into it. I don't know if the Rockets would go for it, but this is the deal. I think it's 2 first-round picks from Phoenix, Alperen Sengun, and Jabari Smith Jr.
They never do that for Randle.
Come on, bro.
Listen, man.
That's the most realistic.
They're desperate for
unrealistic thing I've ever seen.
I don't think the Rockets
are their young bigs for Julius Randle.
They're going to have to move one of 2 people.
But why would they move both of their bigs though?
But that's the thing about the new CBA. They literally cannot afford to keep either.
They can if they draft it. It's different when you draft your players though. You can continue to go over that cap if you have your players signed. It's just about bringing new people in.
I understand.
That's the hard part. I don't think they would just. It makes no sense for them to give Alperen Sengun like that.
I understand that, but you need to understand it.
For what? To keep Fred VanVleet around? Like that's the Fred VanVleet's our future.
Yes, I know
and
it's
Jalen
not
Green.
the best deal, but you got to understand that's what you have to think about in all of these scenarios. There's a reason why they're probably giving that deal to Jalen Green over Alperen Sengun. What I'm trying to say is only one of them are going to be signed back onto that team.
And yet, I don't see them giving up a package for Julius Randle as the return back.
Yeah, Randle was also going to command
a big 0
sense. That's why I said all of this before. Like, I don't think this would happen. The Knicks have made it abundantly clear that they won't trade Randle.
I don't even think in this case,
that's probably the only.
This has nothing to do with trading Randle. It's just a bad trade for the Rockets, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Rockets would not accept that.
Rockets would hang up the phone. Like, you probably get blocked for something like that. Jabari Smith and Alfred Sengun for Julius and 2 picks? Assuming whose picks are they anyways?
I think it was Phoenix.
But still.
Yeah, no.
I don't think they would trade Jabari Smith and 2 firsts for Randle.
I don't think so either, low-key. If I'm being honest, I just think those 2 bigs, they're really young. Jabari Smith has a lot of potential as well, like as a stretch power forward, just in general.
Yeah.
Alfred Sengun is one of the best passers in the league right now.
I agree.
And he's young. Like, he has a lot of room to grow too. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I want to say, like, I agree with y'all, to be completely honest. I know that would never happen. I literally put in the post, this probably won't happen. What probably will happen is probably one of them would probably come with another support player, most likely. if a deal were to get done, that's probably what it would be. But
I
it
don't think
would be
Julius is
both
worth
of
all
them.
that though.
Huh?
I don't think Julius' value is worth the Alfred Sengun or Jabari Smith. I really
Dude,
don't.
he's a two-time All-Star. What do you mean?
I don't think so.
He's a two-time All-Star.
Well,
Bro.
he is, but
He's a 20 and 10 guy when he's completely healthy.
And
Why
he's
not?
how old is Julius Randle right now?
Do you guys forget what Julius Randle did?
He was on the Lakers. I know
On the
who
ball
Julius
a lot?
Randle is. I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying, did you forget what he did? He was
But
one
why
of
would
the
the
two
Rock-
players to bring the
What-
Knicks to the
But I'm
playoffs.
saying,
after
what would that do for the
out.
Rockets? How would that help the Rockets' future, present, whatever situation? How would that impact the Rockets in a positive way to add Julius Randle to a team with Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green?
I
I
think
just
if
don't
anything, the Rockets are
There's
just
way
going to
more
wind up
players
trading
than
Van
just
Vliet.
them. There's way more players than just them. They
No,
have.
I'm
a
just
lot
saying.
of
I'm talking about
guys
as far as
that
like
can
ball dominant guy. We're talking about like. Sorry, I didn't add context. Ball dominance on a team like this is what the main topic is. Fred VanVleet is a guy who wants the ball in his hand. Jalen Green, we've seen the memes about Jalen Green. Yeah, he got a lot better towards the end of the season, but it took him a long time to get to that point. Now you're telling me you want to add Julius Randle to that mix as well and kind of start over that progress? I don't know. I just don't know if that. I don't know if he fits there. And like, yeah, Max said you can trade Fred VanVleet, but then what's the plan there? Like, you're just gonna build around Julius? Like, that's the new centerpiece?
I just don't think Randle
I
would ever
I wouldn't take.
That's not something that's going to happen.
But
I mean, you never know.
To be
Yeah.
completely honest with y'all, what's probably going to end up happening is Fred VanVleet is going to like play his contract through with the Rockets, and his minutes are going to be reduced throughout the time that he's there. That's
Honestly, I see Van Vliet. I don't see him playing out the contract. I think he's just going to play towards the end of it, and then when he's got like a year or two left, and it's like a somewhat tradable deal, I think that's when Houston's going to trade it for either maybe like an expiring contract, or they're just going to trade it for like another good player that they can like add to their team long term. So that way they don't have to trade a Jabari Smith or a Sengun. They can keep them both and just move Van Vliet when before he's expiring.
And take notes, Rockets. Don't give up your young players, man. Go the OKC route. Like, keep those young guys and let them keep developing, man. They have a really young, talented roster. Like Cam Whitmore. They got Reed Shepard, who had one of the better.
I'm gonna say, don't forget Reed Shepard. Yeah,
but
He
you
was
also
really
you probably
ready.
will. They
Jalen
also have to
Green.
think into the future. Like, they have to pay all of those guys.
I get it, but like the young guys, it's not really that much of a problem. It's just about adding new people in from the outside. Like the CBA is built to restrict good teams from adding on outside pieces. The reason why the Celtics are a really good team is because they're two guys they drafted those guys. So they paid them over the
Teams
cap.
don't want to be held to that.
Huh?
Teams don't want to be held to that. The Rockets are not going to want to be held for that.
But
They
I'm
want to
saying-
be able to make moves. They're going to be wanting. Hold on.
But what's
They're going
the
to want to make moves
alternative
because
though?
there is no guarantee that this
So you-
team will
so
win a
you trade
championship. There is no
you-
previous experience than them being all-stars. There is
But-
nothing supporting that this squad can win a championship.
What I'm saying, so
There's
your
nothing
solution
supporting
is
this
to,
squad to be top
your
3.
solution is to throw away two of the more promising young talents in the NBA because
They
you're
need to
worried
get more
about
money.
what financial problems could potentially happen in the future. I'm
That's-
just not.
That's how the teams have to start thinking, and a lot of these teams are going to
They're
adjust.
not. But teams aren't. Their solution is not going to be to give up our young, promising players, throw them away in trades, and bring on a Julius Randle or something like that. That's not going to fix your cap problem. How does that fix your cap problem?
it doesn't.
It makes it
that's the
worse.
thing. Any good team is always going to be up
Yeah.
against the cap or second apron. Like, if you want to be good, you
That's
have
what
to
it
pay.
is.
That's just the reality of the situation. So if
Yeah.
Houston thinks that this young core can one day be top 3 and get them
You
there,
got to keep them.
they're going to commit to it. And
Look
when
at
they have to
OKC.
pay them, they have to pay them. That's that.
Look at OKC is my best example right
But
now.
you got to understand.
OKC
like,
is the floor of this new CBA issue. They did it right. They drafted their guys. Yes, in a couple years, they're going to have to work on contract negotiations. They're going to have to go over some of those caps. Yes, and they won't be able to bring in a lot of outside people, but you have to keep that core together and compete. Like, that's what you have to do and work around the margins. That's what it's come to now in the new CBA. And trading out your young players.
you get sent to like 30 in the round. Like, there's a lot.
But
of
OKC was the first seed last year, so it worked for them.
Yeah.
Right?
It does work for them. It
So
does.
it just
For
depends on
special
what type of
cases
team you
like
are.
OKC, that is the case. But for half and half teams like the Houston Rockets, where they're in a rough position, regardless of that,
So, okay, that's a
some
good point.
teams weren't some teams weren't like built. Like I'm only going to use this as an example. Like the Knicks, they weren't built thinking about the CBA and it going to be changed. Certain teams have built themselves for that. Like you said, OKC built themselves for that. The Houston Rockets do not have that luxury.
How it happened though.
But the Houston Rockets, OKC can afford to do that. You know why?
Well, before
because Holmgren's first year, they're first place in the Western Conference.
But that has nothing to do with the way they built their team. When they made those big trades to get those picks, God bless you. When they made those big trades to get those picks, they weren't thinking, in a couple of years, the CBA is going to be crazy, so we should just go young. No, they gambled. They took a big gamble. They went young, and everything just turned out. It just 100%. Worked right. 100%. That Shea deal, when they traded for Shea,
everything was inadvertent.
Now Paul George and all that stuff. They got out of the Kevin Durant, all that stuff era, 100%. And they came back out on top. Like that 100%. Wasn't like, CBA. You know what? We got to start preparing for CBA right now. Like I think it's just like it doesn't make sense. Like in general, think about the draft this year. I'll bring up Dalton Knecht, for example. People didn't draft him because he wasn't young enough. Youth is like the number one priority for most of these GMs.
A lot of people on their
team. Like they want the 18, 19-year-olds who, yes, it could take time for them to develop and get better, but they're going to take their time, develop these players, and keep them around for a long period of time. Because in reality, that's the cheapest way to build up your team the best you can nowadays. It's hard to go out there and sign a whole bunch of different free agents under this new CBA, so you have to bring them in through the draft, do your own research, and scout those guys right. And I feel like OKC, first of all, like Max said too, like Reed Shepherd, he could turn out great. Like that could be one of the missing pieces they're looking for. And you can potentially you can trade Fred VanVleet for maybe some picks or more assets to keep going in that direction, or maybe you just buy him out towards the last year of his contract if Reed Shepherd just works out. And you still have Alfred Sengun, you have Jabari Smith Jr., you have Cam Whitmore, who's a really good two-way player in my opinion. You got Tate, who if he stays healthy, he can have a good year hopefully this coming up year. But like they have a good young team to the point where. Like I get CBA, but why would you? If it's about money, would you rather be stuck with Julius Randle and over the cap, or with young players overpay those guys?
I 100% understand, respect, and I honestly think you're right. In a regular scenario like OKC, who literally crumbled everything down like it was a freaking earthquake in Oklahoma, and built it up from the start. Like they did that. Yeah. They did that with their bare hands. Shout out to Sam Presti.
But that's what Houston's done. When Houston traded Martin Westbrook, this is basically what OKC did.
Houston is in a weirder situation.
But they're in the beginning of what the OKC did a couple years ago. This is the beginning phase.
Are you saying they're in a weird situation because they have veterans like VanVleet and Brooks to pay? Is that what you're saying? Well, you're right.
That definitely hinders them.
It does, but I think those contracts are movable. I think they much sooner part with them than part with a young guy that they're eventually going to have to pay what they're paying now, what they're paying VanVleet.
Like Sam Breeson, why do you think the Wizards signed Valanciunas? Not to keep him long term. That's a tradable contract.
But they also made that a super tradable contract.
That's what I'm saying. Like some of those guys you can trade. Like I'm not saying Dylan
VanVleet is not a super tradable contract though, because VanVleet.
I mean, it's not super tradable, but I'm not saying it's super tradable, but it could be tradable. Like that's a player who he had a decent season. He's just playing on the Rockets. That's just the honest truth.
Some team would take him. It wouldn't be easy. I agree, it wouldn't be easy, but it is possible. And certainly Brooks, I think, could be moved. That's one that
Brooks is more easy to move.
Money.
Brooks is more easy to move than VanVleet. I'll give you all that
for sure. But say the Rockets for their case. Once that season starts and you can't sign players, that's just money sitting. So their thought process is probably like, okay, we're going to sign these contracts. So that way, if we want to move stuff around and make moves, we have the money in the contracts to do that across the league. Like we said, Fred VanVleet is probably harder to move that contract, but there is still somewhat of a possibility opposed to just letting that money sit there to the whole next season and sign somebody in the offseason and betting on that. I think it's just 100%. To have it on your books. I feel like that's what the Rockets are doing.
Again, I get you. And again, in a normal circumstance, you are right. But this is the difference because of the CBA is going to make things so much harder for these teams to continue to build. I understand Like,
What
if you want to trade? What if you want to trade these guys in the future? What if they don't end up being? What if next year Jalen Green gets injured? What if next year Alperen Sengun gets injured? Like,
then they pay him.
Want to be? I get it, but what if the Rockets don't want to do that? What if the Rockets are in win mode right now with one of their guys being super good and then one of their guys being injured, and then the next year one of their guys is injured and the other guy is super injured?
But that's just the NBA in general. That's just the NBA in general. Think about Kevin Durant on Brooklyn when he got injured. When James Harden got injured, you know what they did? Yeah, it didn't work out. Boom. They got rid of it. They started over. I think that's just what you do. You
take bad karma for not signing with New York.
But the thing about that's old players. Like, those are vets. They're not – nobody is just like, okay, I'll use – you know what? I'll use – this is a perfect example. Okay. I'll use Michael Porter Jr. That dude was injured to start his career. Back problems. Nobody actually thought he could come out and play.
He had a heart condition.
Michael Porter Jr., it was back problems.
You're thinking of someone else.
Yeah, it was back problems, lower back problems. Because I followed him since he was in high school. Michael Porter Jr. was the best player in his class, hands down. Best player. He fell all the way in that draft. He should have been a top 5 pick. But since he had those lower back problems and stuff like that, he literally sat out for a lot of majority of those early on games. But when he did come back, when they did produce, Jamal Murray at the same – think about Murray too. He was injured during those times too. But the Nuggets, they didn't panic. They didn't say, oh, we're going to trade Murray. We're going to trade Michael Porter Jr. They waited. They sat and waited for their window. They got their window and they won a championship. And yes, some people left, cool, but they still kept that same core. They have their same core: Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Jokic. They kept all three of those guys together. They're big three guys. Even under this new CBA, it was hard for them to move around this offseason, I agree, but they still made some marginal changes around the edges without losing their whole core. So
yeah, but what's even crazier is they probably don't even have their X factor to win another championship.
What?
I mean, I do agree that the Nuggets are in a rough spot right now, but I think, Omar, what I want to know is, like, you make the point that, like, the Rockets are going to run up against the CBA. So, like, okay, like, eventually, if you pay all these guys, yes, at some point, that's going to be a problem. But what are you proposing that they do then? Because I don't think there's a way
They're going to be in a similar situation. They're going to be in a similar situation than what they are in what's it called? In Phoenix, almost. Where they're going to have to start signing guys for vet minimums because they can't afford to keep certain people on.
But in that case, even if they do sign these guys, they're in a way better position than Phoenix because all the guys they sign on their contract, these new contracts they get, they're tradable and guys that people actually want. Nobody wants to trade for a Bradley Beal. Kevin Durant, I love KD. He's doing great, but I think his place right now in the league is on Phoenix. That's a kind of a hard contract to trade on. And then Devin Booker, obviously he's tradable too. But if you apply that same concept to the Rockets, okay, say you re-sign Jabari Smith. That's a good contract to have, especially as a 4-year. I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. Şengün, he's probably going to get one of those probably LaMelo Ball type extensions with his 4 years when that pops up. Okay, cool. But even if they were to be like, they're like, okay, we're going to start over now. A lot of teams in the league will want to trade for a Şengün. Am I not wrong? Even with that type of contract, they would try to make it work. A contending team would try to make some type of money to make it work. So I just don't think the Rockets are in a bad place right now. They're just there's levels in the league. Like, there's some teams who are competing. There's some teams who are trying to start to rebuild, and there's some teams like slightly above that. I think
the Rockets are like in like a weird spot again where they're not really in a rebuild. They're kind of in a winning situation, but they're also kind of still building.
But minus Van Vliet, they don't have any.
Earl, wait, am I wrong?
But I'm just saying, I don't get your CBA argument point though.
But the CBA, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like
it's the way you're explaining it.
If you don't have a guarantee,
I don't get it,
bro. But if you don't have a guarantee, if a team is going to win, why are you going to invest all this money? It's a business.
You just it's different levels of money investment. First of all.
But we're talking about hundreds of millions, possibly billions.
But that money is just going to be sitting there anyways.
Not billions.
That money is going to sit there. What you understand is these contracts, whatever. Yes, they signed Fred VanVleet. They put all those numbers just to have those numbers on the book so they don't have sitting money. Like, I get it from a business standpoint as far as that. They know they're kind of in this coasting situation. Are they competing? Probably not. But they need enough players around their roster to somewhat at least try, right? Okay. Even last year, they didn't have the best season, but what they ended up with. What was it, number 3 pick? You got Reece Shepherd now. Cool. It's almost, I'm not gonna say OKC, but it's like almost the same type of vibes. Like you sign a couple of vets and you have young guys to kind of balance it and you see what happens. Like they're in.
Think about it this way. It's much easier to move Van Vliet and Brooks than it is to sell off all your young talent and get value back, because like that their only shot of winning a championship is hoping Şengün becomes great or Jalen Green becomes great. And if they do, you can do what the Celtics are do, which the Celtics are up against whatever apron, but they still have the best team in the league. So who's laughing now?
The Celtics won't be able to make any moves at all if
but they don't need to though. The Celtics
I think they're fine. They already have their team. They're good
for the next 4 years. They don't have
let's say one of their guys gets injured. Like let's say Kristaps tears an ACL. God forbid,
then he gets hurt.
Jason Tatum breaks his hand. Let's say Jason.
But Omar, the CBA that has nothing to do with the CBA though. That's just you take the risk of having a really great team. That's every team. You can have the greatest team in the league, and your star players, your role players get hurt. Even if you were to go randomly sign a free agent, they're not going to be able to produce what you lost. That's
even
just
like how the situation, though, the Celtics are still in a better position because they are former champions. They have that insurance. The Rockets don't have that insurance.
But it doesn't matter. That's different tiers.
The Celtics had.
But the Rockets aren't in money problems right now. That's
where they got to the finals almost every single year.
Okay, Omar, the Thunder
has their insurance. Eventually, they're going to win one of those finals out of the 5 that they're in. Just like we're trying to bank on of us trying to be there for the next 5 years and trying to be there in
Your argument doesn't make any sense. I don't get what you're trying to say, bro.
Omar,
we're arguing about different teams. That's the thing. We're talking about the Houston Rockets and comparing them to the Boston
argument
Celtics.
Is just flawed.
We're in two separate situations.
But I'm just. Go ahead, man.
Thunder didn't have any insurance when they started paying their guys, but
they saw some Shea, but like
the Thunder didn't really made a playoff run before this year. But we don't argue that they're a top team right now, and if they're against the cap, that's fine. Like I just don't see a path forward.
I don't think the Thunder are really against the cap like that either.
Max is right. The Houston Rockets era where they had that, their version of that Kevin Durant and all that era was the whole Chris Paul,
James Harden,
James Harden era. That was their era. Like, okay, we're gonna completely restart. Now they're in their restart. Yes, maybe it's taking a little bit longer, but they're making good progress. They hit on some gems. It's just gonna take time to put everything together. Like that's just what it comes with.
My question for Omar is just, what do you think the Rockets should do / will do? Like you say, they're in a tough spot. How would you navigate this in a way that involves?
Honestly, I love how this conversation started off about the Knicks and how we started talking about
his solution is trade all the good young players to the Knicks because you guys can't compete. It doesn't make sense for y'all.
That's what I love about it. Yes. But seriously.
So let me ask you this:
how are you navigating this situation? How do you think they should go about this?
I think they should. I think I should trade. I would trade. Okay. You brought up 3 different players. I'll bring them. I'll trade one.
What are players you want to reference? Just you're in charge of Houston.
Let's trade one of the 3 players of Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and Jabari Smith Jr.
You're trading what?
One of the 3 players.
Okay.
Of those 3, and I'm trying to build a squad that's more or less has. How do I say this? Championship pedigree. Do you know what I mean by that? Like.
So you're bringing in a veteran for one of those 3? Is that what you're saying?
Not like a veteran, but like somebody who's going to fit their roster in a sense where it makes sense. It makes sense for them to have them in their lineup. They fit well. They're like more of a glue guy. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. So what you're saying is you just have
Dylan Brooks on the team, another glue guy.
A better one, basically.
Okay,
so what you're saying is you find the odd man out and you trade him for a glue guy.
For the sake of the argument, I would assume that you can probably just exit out Şengün from this. It's okay. We'll just let him low. For the sake of the argument, I would just say, let's just say Şengün probably wouldn't be touched in this scenario. So it'll be Jalen Green and or or Jabari Smith. Because in this case, if you're talking about building up your championship pedigree, whatever, I don't see why you would ever trade Şengün. So let's just say
again, like I said,
who would you trade for?
I just said Jabari.
No, I'm saying
who would you trade?
Trade for as the GM? I just want to see what your I just want to see what you're cooking. Oh, I'm just trying to understand your point of view. That's
so you're saying, who would be a good fit for the Rockets that you could realistically trade Jabari Smith for or a Jalen Green for?
That's a good question. That's actually a very good question. Give me a second.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see where you're coming from. Like, they are in a rough spot, and it's like it is tough to go in on a team where you're like, okay, we're banking that Sengun becomes this, and we're banking Jalen Green becomes this, but. That's kind of all you can do is just hope that the guys you have work out. It's tough to just go buy. Like when you see teams try and go and buy established players like the Nets and the Suns, it doesn't always work. Sometimes.
Like, what about the Pistons? Like, we talk about Pistons.
Hold on. I think I have an answer. Let's stay on one team because I don't want to.
So you're just trying to trade Jabari.
So let's imagine this is 2 years down the line. Fred VanVleet's contract is a little more tradable. We add Fred.
Will it be expired? I think it'll be expired by then. I think that'll be after 2. I think he has 2 more years left on his deal. I could be wrong, but I think he has 2 more years left on the deal.
Was it a 3-year deal?
I think it was a 3-year, right? Like 3-year 80?
Was it a 3 or 4-year deal?
Let me double check that. But continue. I will double check.
Regardless, somewhere in the middle.
You either have 1 year left of Fred or Fred's gone.
It could honestly be even better if Fred was like 1 year. Like, that's fine. We trade him.
Because remember, you could always trade. Well, you could use that expiring contract as trade bait.
That's what I'm saying. We trade him.
No, actually, okay. He has 2 more years left on his deal. He has this year for $42 million, and then next year for $44.
I could swear it was a 4-year. I
think it was.
I would try to trade him for him and Jabari Smith Jr. and try to get like a Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. Obviously, there's picks involved in that deal, but I think that makes their
okay. So you're saying stick with the rebuild for now, kind of wait this team out, wait until VanVleet's got like a year on his
Sexton
deal.
when you have Reed Shepherd though.
That is true.
I see the vision. Like wait.
Well,
2
who's
years.
the 6th man there?
Cam Whitmore. He had a good season.
Is he
or Amen Thompson or Asar, whichever.
Or Mon Thompson. Thompson's went like.
Are they guards though? Or are they like? Oh wait, no, they could be forwards. It's fine. Yeah. I guess. Okay, but regardless, he's on the bench. He's not like starting. He's a bench guy. He's a spark plug.
Okay, so you're saying wait a year, figure out kind of who's the odd man out, and then trade him and VanVleet for like a glue guy.
Yeah, I would try to.
Or like a good role player, like you know what I mean. Like,
obviously, I don't think. Listen, I think my ideal trade target. I'm trying to keep this realistic, but I think my ideal trade target would be like a Bam Adebayo.
But I mean, if you already have Sengun, I don't really know.
But that doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't work. I don't know. Earl's looking at me like, "What the fuck?"
I mean, yeah, we're putting you on the spot, but like, okay, I think I see what you're saying.
You're asking me questions I gotta put thought to. Like, this is not fair.
Listen, I don't think it's as crazy. I think I see the vision here. Is try and find the team that you're really rework, kind of retool, find the pieces that you're confident in, and then go all in. But like. Yeah, you're going to have to pay Sengun. You're going to have to pay whoever you trade for, but that's just part of it. And if you can just get to a point where you're like the Celtics, where you have everything you need, and then you're capped at the second apron or whatever, then you're fine. Because like we don't need to make moves. Like the Celtics are kind of good, like they don't.
Because at a certain point, the Rockets are going
and
to
the cap is going to increase every single year. So
whether they like it or not, the Rockets are probably a couple of moves away from being at that point of not really having any room. Like you're going to have to match contracts to trade them. They're not far away from that third tax apron, and that's the whole point of this conversation.
I think they have one of the lowest salaries in the league right now, at least. But they haven't paid any of their young guys yet. Sengun's on his rookie, I think. Jalen Green is. I don't know about Jalen Green, but Jalen Green I think is still on his rookie. Thompson's on his rookie. Jabari Smith's on his rookie. The only guys on their books right now are Fred VanVleet and Brooks in terms of big contracts. Obviously, that's going to change in a year or two when they have to pay guys. But right now, they're actually they don't really have any money tied up. And other than like VanVleet, obviously. They got a lot tied up. That's kind of it.
Hold on.
I just don't know.
Yeah, they have 27. They have 27 million left in tax space.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're nowhere near that right now. Like they have plenty of flexibility.
Yeah, they're only 22 million away from the second apron. Like let's say if they had
a lot of money though.
In NBA, that's a lot of money. It's tough not tough, but like there's a good amount.
I mean, imagine if you bring along like a bigger player. Like, let's say we bring along, honestly,
a bigger player. You don't have to.
I don't want to specify. Let's say we're gonna have to pay him about $20 million a year.
But then you're also giving up.
Well, your cap's going to increase depending on what year we're in by then. So the cap might be a little bit larger depending on it.
That's true. Yeah, cap goes up a couple mil a year anyway. So.
And then you can always go past your cap if you're paying guys that you drafted.
Right, that's the thing. That's what the that's the thing. It's like, sure, the Celtics are capped at the second April, but they can still pay. They're not going to lose any of their guys. They can pay.
It's like
Brown and Porzingis.
The joke about having like a $500 million backcourt or front court, whatever you want to call it, it's because they can go over that cap and still have a little bit extra money because those are guys that they drafted. Like, you can afford to pay a Porzingis and a Drew Holiday that type of money because those guys are still under those type of protections.
Yeah. It's the same thing that lets the Knicks sign OG for $220 and then Brunson for $130, whatever his contract was, and you've got Julius's money on there. Like, technically it's over the cap, but because it's your guys, you can go as far over as long as you're A, willing to pay the luxury, and B, willing to get first apron or second apron, whatever. So I think the Rockets, for the most part, have to keep this lineup intact. I do agree with you that at some point they're going to have to figure out who the odd man out, because they probably can't pay everyone, but they're going to have to say, Jabari Smith, we're moving on, or Jalen Green, we're moving on, or Asar or Amen Thompson, we're moving on. Like, there probably will be one or two of those guys that are cap casualties. But I think for the most part, I would assume they keep this core together, and especially Şengün. I would be shocked if Şengün is not the guy that they envision having the highest.
Yeah, I would be shocked too. Like, if this was just the video, like, this whole thing started because I saw a video that I didn't necessarily agree with.
Well, I get it. No, I see what I'm saying.
In a sense, we're just trying to create conversation and trying to, like, I'm trying to play like devil's advocate and asking these questions and trying to, like, gain a conversation out of it.
Of course,
But I also have to. But I also look at the Rockets and they're like, I don't know. I don't know. They're in a weird spot, like I said before. They're in a weird spot.
They are. I would just bet that they pivot more towards banking on their youth and overpaying them versus committing to like a win now and sacrificing their youth, banking that like Fred VanVleet's going to be the best player on a championship team, or
they're not.
Dylan Brooks is going to be the third best.
Yeah, no, they're not banking on that. They're not going to bank on that. But let's try to move away from the Rockets, because how are the Knicks going to distribute this like lineup? Like, they have so many good players.
Full circle back to the Knicks.
But it's like, how are they going to fit all these players in the lineup? Like, I'm trying to.
I think a lot of them just won't play. I don't think Shaman is going to be. I mean, they're just there as insurance guys. They're there in case someone.
Are we running like a 9-man lineup again, or are we running another 10-man?
I would like to think 10-man with Tyler Kolek being in there and Deuce McBride, and then you've got DiVincenzo and Hart and probably Achua, or insert backup center if we trade for someone, like a Robert Williams or a Walker Kessler, whatever. But yeah, I would assume a 10-man, but I don't think Cameron Payne is going to be in that 10-man. I don't think Marcus Morris is going to be in that 10-man. I don't think Landry Shaman's going to be in that 10-man. They're just there in case an injury happens and you need to elevate a bench guy to a starting lineup and you can replace them. Better to have proven vets and that can at least produce and be competent in those roles. And that's the benefit of being a team that is contending for a championship. Like, the Knicks, for the first time in a long time, are considered, I think, by many to be a championship team. So you get guys like a Shaman who's going to take a vet minimum to come here. Marcus Morris, who's going to risk Marcus Morris isn't guaranteed a spot, but he's still willing to risk that to come play for a team that can win a championship, where he's like, I can either sit on the bench and get a ring, or maybe if an injury happens, I can step up and play a role here. So
Shaman had guaranteed deals elsewhere. It was weird.
Yeah, so I think that's the benefit of being a contending team, is you get guys who are on premiums that he's not going to take this deal in Detroit, I'll tell you that, or Charlotte. So I don't think they're necessarily going to play, but there will come a game where we'll need Shaman off the bench, or we'll need Morris, and they'll be there, and we'll be glad to have them versus just some two-way guy, But,
true. I think Landry Shaman definitely is underrated. He has a habit to just randomly go. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, Shaman is he's kind of he had a good run, I think, with Philly, and then he was on Phoenix, and he's just kind of fine. He's a borderline rotation guy. It's you feel good having him on your third team, but I don't know how good you feel with him playing more than 10 minutes off the bench. He's a very situational shooter, I feel like.
No, but I'm saying Landry Shamet is one of those heat check guys. Like if he's on, he's on.
Yeah, he could hit 5 threes.
Give you like really good production. Like I've seen him versus the Lakers a couple times. I've seen him playing against multiple teams like that a couple of times. So I think it was a good underrated signing, especially with like some of the injury problems the Knicks had. I agree with you guys that I'd rather have experience vet in those situations than trying to fumble around and see if we can sign somebody in. Along with Morris as well. Like we had him, great role player, and he's a guy who doesn't complain about minutes. If he gets in, he'll be locked into play. So I think it's a good moves, especially for the value of the contract.
I mean, look, only because I'm gonna just be brutally honest. I don't see it being Landry. Like
who does what?
Who gets this last position on the roster? I just don't see it being Landry.
I thought they already signed or no?
No, he's this Exhibit 9. Him, Marcus Morris, and Chime Okiki.
Okiki.
Yeah, Chuma Okiki. Yeah, so to be honest, it's either going to be Marcus Morris or Chime Okiki, only because we don't necessarily need a guard. Like, bro, think about it like this. We have Jalen Brunson as our first string, McBride as our second string, Kolek as our third, Campaign as our fourth, and then what? We're gonna have like Landry Shamet as our fifth string. I don't even think this guy deserves to be a fifth string. He deserves to be a third string, if anything. But like, I just don't see it happening because where are more of our forwards, right? Like we have Pacom, right? But I don't think
I doubt he's actually gonna play on the team.
I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he's going to play. We have Paco.
Oh, you're saying we have him, but he's not.
That's what I'm saying, right? We have Achua, who's not going to play much minutes. We have Josh Hart, who's probably going to take up at least half of those minutes from Julius Randle. Hopefully, but there's so many. There's only so many spots on this Knicks team that can actually have playing time, whether it's 9-man, 10-man, 11-man.
I think Shamet will make the team. I don't think he'll see.
And even with 9-man,
I think he'll just be there in case of emergency.
And for being honest, that's the point I'm just having in depth. Like most of those guys won't play. I think it's just the fact that if they had to, then they're game ready. You know what I mean? Opposed to some other guys you have on your bench.
You trust those guys, so
you're not expecting them to go out there and really be a rotational player. Most of those guys, we're talking about expedition contracts, but if someone got hurt and they had the opportunity to play, we already know that they have a proven record of producing in minutes. I think that's what it's really about.
Yeah, 100%.
What about Philly? Do we want to do some trading, some stock trading in this last 18 minutes? Some NBA player trading, some stocks.
All right.
What's the stocks? Talk to me.
We're doing a little NBA player stock market. Who are you buying stock on going into the season? So basically, who do you think is kind of underrated right now, who's going to have a breakout year, versus who do you think Earl's excited, versus someone who had a really good year last year and people are kind of high on, but isn't going to repeat that same success. So who are you buying? Basically, who do you think is going to be who's underrated, and who do you think is overrated going into this year? What stock you buying and selling, Earl? You seem pretty excited.
I'm buying right now. I'm buying all the stock in the world. I'm buying stock in stocks. I'm buying stocks in sports cards, everything. My guy Scoot Henderson is going to have a great season. I'm buying the stock. I don't care. It's as low as it's ever going to be right now. This is the floor. Below the floor is where his stock is right now.
Well, when he's out of the league, I think it'll be lower. When he's out of the league,
he won't be. Well, of course, eventually he will be, but I don't think so. I think people talk.
In 4 years, that stock will be zero.
I don't think so. We talked about his stats before. He didn't have a terrible season. He just had a really bad stretch of games. And I think, yes, it was a lot worse because he was a top 3 pick, and that kind of highlights of where his progress should be according to how the NBA world reacts. If you're a top 3 pick, people think you should be putting out 15 plus, I'll say 18 plus a game, maybe a double-double depending on your position. So I think that aspect, yes, he's disappointing a lot of fans out there, but I think he's just learning, man. He came into there not having the best jump shot, but every game I see him play, he improved a little bit more. And I think that's a lot to do with Chauncey Billups. I think he kind of kept him level-headed through all those bad plays. And I think that Chauncey Billups going to get him right going into the summer. I heard he spent a lot of time training with Chauncey Billups, just as far as like working on his mental work and his own court work and stuff like that. And I think it's going to show production. I was excited to see potentially him play in Summer League, but he didn't, which is cool. But I think he's going to have a good season. So that's the dude that's the dude I'm buying stock in. And the dude I'm kind of taking stock out of.
We can come back. We could do maybe like who we're buying.
Bet. Yeah, okay, bet. Cool.
Omar, do you have someone you're buying, or do you want me to go? Because I have someone in mind.
You know, Earl, you had a really, really good pick, by the way. I think Sue Henderson's going to have a really good year. All that time with Chauncey, I hope it's going to pay off. Chauncey is like a champion, so I really hope he's.
Yeah, 14-4, 14-5. That's good.
He's
as a rookie, 14-5.
Yeah,
it's not bad. Volume shooting, of course.
The guy that I'm putting stock in. You guys are not gonna like.
Is it a Knicks player?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. You know what? Yes, it is. The guy I am putting stock in is Julius Randle. I'm putting stock in on
Omar is not a financial advisor.
I am not a financial advisor, no. But
none of us are.
I really don't want to screw this up. So I'm going to look up these numbers before I say anything.
I respect the grind. I respect the basketball reference grind.
Omar looking up numbers, character development. I like it.
You know how I feel about Julius Randle with numbers, but go ahead.
He's the best in the league.
Give me the sales pitch. As someone who – well, I'm not selling Randle stock because I never held any. But
what was the first year of his contract? 2022, right?
Is it? I don't know because he has an extension now, so I don't know what the extension. You can look up what the contract is.
Excuse me.
Veteran extension. Okay.
I don't know. What exactly?
Why do you pick him as your guy?
Well, it all goes into him being a contract year player. During
I don't think he is. Maybe.
I'm sorry?
I don't think Randle's a contract year player. I think he has a guarantee for at least another 2 years.
No. What I'm saying is he doesn't have a guarantee for the next 2 years. He's what's it called? He could have signed a 2025, 2026 is his last year. Yeah, and 32, 2026, 2027
That's
is a
2
year.
years from now. That's not
2 years.
This year's 24, 25. That's 2 years.
I'm stupid.
No, you're not. You just
wait a second. It's a player option. He could decline that.
Okay, so he's not.
But you will. So I'm not wrong.
If he wants it, he's guaranteed 2 years.
He's not guaranteed it's a contract 2 years because he didn't accept his player extension.
If he has a player option, then he has a choice to choose if he wants to sign that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if he hops out, he can hop out this year. Or no, not
right.
This
but
year.
You're saying if you're going to make the argument that like he's in a contract year and he needs money, not really.
But
he could just
no. That's not the point. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is whenever he has a contract here, he does really, really, really well. I think what the Knicks brought on
what was his last contract
this summer is only going to add to that. And I know I misquoted the numbers last time for the 3-point shot, so I'll like to correct myself again. Mikal Bridges is the only guy that shoots under 40%, except for OG Anunoby, 39.5.
Wait,
right?
Only guy who shoots under 40%? Julius Randle definitely doesn't shoot anything close to 40% from three.
Not last year, at least.
Not historically for the last couple years.
No, that's the point. The conversation is around him. Remember what we talked about last time? How the people around Julius Randle are shooting 40% at least.
Oh, okay. So you're not including Randle in this.
Yeah, so we're not including Julius. It's the people around Julius. Dante DiVincenzo.
But it's not really a contract year, but
it technically is because
but the thing with a contract year is like
earn more. he's trying to earn more than what the Knicks are currently offering him, which is a fair amount, which is fair to say the least. But I'm also not trying to say that's the whole reason, because when Julius Randle was in a contract year previously too, he's proven himself to be a great player. He's shown
what
to
did he
be.
put up that year when he was in a contract year?
That's what I'm trying to find.
Okay, I mean, okay, but your point is Randall's your guy that you're buying stock.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna bounce back, have a good year.
I think he's going to have a very good year, yeah, because
Fair enough.
I think he's going to have a very good year. I think he's going to give the Knicks exactly what they're looking for. And by the way, I want to make this very, very clear. The other day in Bagley's mailbag, by the way, Bagley said that Julius Randle was willing to take any role the Knicks were wanting to throw at him. He wants to win. He wants to win.
I hope so. I'd love nothing more than that. But
you know what? You're gonna be sleeping. And by the way, this is a hot take. We're gonna see Julius Randle at center this season, more likely than not.
Well, that's not a hot take. I think that will definitely happen, at least for the first half. I think that will definitely happen. But
more likely than
in terms of accepting a role and not being a ball stopper and playing defense, I'll believe in what I see.
The way I think they're gonna do it is they're gonna have Julius Randle and OG Anunoby constantly switch on and off of centers, which is a good idea.
Hey, do that versus us.
We will. Oh, we will.
We'll dog walk.
And we'll beat you again.
No, we'll dog walk that matchup.
Well, you'll dog walk that? Talk to Embiid when OG Anunoby was on him, or when Mitchell Robinson was on him.
We're not worried about Embiid. We're talking about AD to whatever you got going on.
Who's better, AD or Embiid?
Huh? I thought you were about to say AD or Julius Randle. I was about to say, come on, bro.
No.
Come on, bro.
Come on.
You got to get your big bro down.
I said Embiid. Come on.
We're talking about Knicks Lakers. But anyways, go ahead.
No, but I'm talking about that because if he's able to stop them, what's stopping him from stopping Anthony Davis?
He's him.
Embiid is arguably the most unstoppable person in this league other than Jokic. So what makes it think that Anthony Davis isn't?
Because he's him. Simple.
Good.
Who's the Lakers fan? I'm using the line you use on me.
Hey, well, 90% of this was by the Knicks, but we bought.
Fair enough. It was about the Rockets, all right? Fair enough. We made it into a Rockets debate.
We segue there, but
it was a segue off of the Knicks.
Well, Max, which your guy you're buying stock in, though?
For me, I'm kind of doing like a tandem. I package these guys as one. I think they're both going to prosper together. I think they're two sides of the same coin. I'm buying Trey Murphy and Herb Jones stock. Because I like that. I think that the Pelicans, by the deadline, or certainly maybe by the end of this year, because remember, we're buying stocks. This doesn't necessarily have to be this year. This could be like, I could hold this stock for 3, 4, 5 years. So I think in the next year, Brandon Ingram will be gone off that team. And I think you're going to see Trey Murphy take a larger role. I think Trey Murphy's going to go into the starting lineup. Or I don't know how the New Orleans lineup works, but I think there will be a lineup where Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are the small forward and power forward, or one of them comes off the bench and they're playing a lot.
Trey Murphy starts.
I really do think that when Brandon Ingram leaves, Trey Murphy's going to become a great third option for that team. I think he's incredibly talented offensively. And Herb Jones' defense, I see Herb Jones as a potential all-defense guy for the next 5 years. Like, he is a top 15 to 20 defender in the NBA, definitely a top 5, just strictly guard position. He's not the tallest, but my gosh, he is so athletic. He can move side to side. I think he's going to be a perennial all-defense candidate, and Trey Murphy's going to honestly push like 17, 18 points a game soon. I think there will be years where he is like not an all-star, but like a borderline all-star. I really do believe in Trey Murphy. So I'm buying those two stock combined. And when the Pelicans, I don't know if it'll translate to winning for New Orleans, but I think in a couple of years when they're like two of the best players on that team and they're like legitimate NBA great role players, like we're going to look at them as like the two of the best role players in the league. So I'm buying their stock right now. I'm getting it on the low before Ingram gets traded.
Yeah.
Yep. And I want to add from before real quick. Julius Randle's first year on the Knicks, averaged 24 points, 9.2 rebounds, 5 assists on 47.2%.
So that was his first year or his contract year?
First year.
Okay, well,
first year is a contract year.
What? No. A contract year is when your contract is about to expire, Omar, not when you just got a new one. That's what a contract year is.
Okay, so then 2022.
I thought he was on the Knicks in 2019 and 2020.
He was. That was his first year.
So
what you were describing might be a contract year, but it wasn't his first year with the team.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because that was 2023. You're right. Yeah. You're right. Okay, but it was. But that I mixed it up a little bit. But that is right. It's his contract year in 2022, 2023, 24 points. 9 rebounds.
All right.
You're right.
Earl, who are you selling stock on? Who's your sell? You're buying Scoot. Who are you selling to make that money?
He said.
Not ever said it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
I think I'm going to be selling stock on. Okay, this is one of those ones where it could go either way. I might be selling stock on the hype train of the Jimmy Butler train.
Okay,
that's not a bad thing.
I feel like
I
feel like the Heat are kind of constantly in this bubble where they're just not. They can only go so far with Jimmy Butler. Basically, what I'm saying. And I think in order for that team to get better, not saying I have to completely restart, but I think they need another head figure in that locker room, which is why I feel like we've seen like reports that maybe Jimmy Butler leave when that contract is done. But I think for the future of Miami, they have to add somebody good now to pair with Bam and Tyler Hero, because both of those guys, I feel like they're ready for the moment. We just got to get some more guys to kind of build around that. And I think with Jimmy Butler and his contract right now, currently they're kind of in this bubble where they're just not going to get any better. And if Jimmy Butler goes down, then that team we see historically just doesn't compete well, because that's just the way that team is structured. So I think I'm going to sell a little bit of my stock in Jimmy Butler. This is no offense. It's just his opinion. So all the Heat fans, Jimmy Butler, if you see this, I'm not hating. I'm just saying I think you're just such a focal point on that team. And when you go down, it hurts the health of the Miami Heat in general. So that's my answer.
I agree with that. That's fair. Jimmy Butler hasn't been himself for the past couple seasons. So I mean, it just not for the past couple seasons, really.
Last year.
But I mean, I can see him kind of taking a regression route right now.
All right, who's your picko? I can also go if you don't.
Yeah. I think I would sell stock on. Not a lot of stock, but not a lot of it. But I think I would sell some stock on Laurie as well. I'm not
okay.
Yeah, because do I think he would be a really good fit somewhere else? Yes. Do I think he would be in a much better position somewhere else? Yes. Do I think he's going to get much better than what he's doing right now? Not really.
Fair enough, honestly. I like that. That's a solid pick. For mine, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say the best years of Damian Lillard are behind him.
Oh, dude, what? Easy. Easy.
Yes, but I think right now he's right on the cusp. Based purely off last year, he was right on the cusp of a top 5 point guard. He's marginally ahead of a Tyrese Maxey, a De'Aaron Fox, a Trae Young, a John Morant. I think after this next year, I think Lillard's just going to kind of have a meh year, a year like he had this year, but worse. I think this is going to be the first year where you really start to see a downward trajectory from Lillard. And this time next year, we're going to be debating whether he's even top 10 or not in terms of point guards. I think this is where he's getting old. He's 33 now, I think. He's next to Giannis, so he's not going to get all the shots like he did in Portland. I think he's still going to be a good point guard. I think there's a shot he makes the All-Star team this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he misses the All-Star game this year. And I wouldn't be shocked if we never see another All-Star appearance from Damian Lillard. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but and I think he's going to be a good point guard in the league for the rest of his career. But I think his days as a top guard in the league are over. That's my hot take. I
agree with you. I agree with you.
That's
on
a clean
that
take. I like that.
I like that take, but I gotta say the Portland fans got his back. He's not. The Portland fans are all. They don't got anybody in there. So
I don't think it's I'll just say this. I don't think it's I don't even think it's anything bad saying about Dame. I think it's just saying just the way our league is progressing. Yeah. The quality of guards is getting better. His points per game, all that stuff, it's good. He's gonna be good for the next couple of years. But at the same time, you got guys like Tyrese Maxey, like you said, the Halliburtons, where all these other younger guards, LaMelo Ball will be coming back this year. All these younger guards are going to start taking their spots as these top positions in the league in that position. So I kind of agree with you. I think all of our answers were fair. It's not like we're saying they're bad. It's just the guys coming up next. They're just
it's the stock market. You're not saying it's going to plummet, but it's as high now as it's going to be. And I think Lillard's days as a top player are probably this was his last like all-star year. Maybe he'll make an all-star team next year, but
Hey, clip it for the edit when he drops 50.
He'll make one just like as a reserve or something.
yeah, I could see him as a reserve. I think certainly by the end of next year, it's going to be like, okay, Halliburton's better, John Morant's better, Tyrese Max is better, De'Aaron Fox is better, Trae Young's better, and we're going to be like, damn, that kind of makes Lillard a mid-point guard now compared to the rest of them.
It didn't even say your point guard.
Who's my point guard? Brunson?
Yeah.
He's already better. No, that's not a conversation. He's better than Lillard. No, that's a foregone. I didn't mention the obvious ones, but like there's those guys who are like
I see it. You've been
Brunson jumped him already. Brunson jumped him this year. That's objective truth. But
no.
That'll do it for our buying and selling stock. Thank you for coming to BTB Insiders, where we talk all the stock market NBA moves, who you should buy, who you should sell. And in our expert opinion, you should like this video and comment below if you want to see more stock trading sessions going forward. Maybe you can do like a mid-year update of who you're buying, selling stock on. So if you want to see that, please do comment down below. And as always, if you're loving the content, like, comment, subscribe, rate us on Spotify, check us out on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts. All the short form content will be there. We'll be here. We'll be everywhere because we are BTB and we are inevitable. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're out.
Follow us for more.